UCLA is a university with unlimited possibilities for students that desire world-class academics and research, unmatched diversity, incredible cultural and social opportunities, successful alumni and career networking, first-class campus facilities, plus America's top intercollegiate sports teams. Located in Westwood, just a few miles from the Pacific Ocean, UCLA's 1 square mile campus is surrounded by famous cities such as Bel Air, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and Santa Monica.
The calendar says winter, but spring is just around the corner. We're going to go outside and talk tennis and baseball on this edition of UCLA Bruin Talk.
Before we meet our first guest, let's take a look at this week's upcoming events.
The UCLA men's tennis team is ranked 5th. The UCLA women's team is ranked 5th, both in the top 10 as we swing into the key part of the season. And somebody who's got a lot in common with both teams is the Director of Tennis Operations for UCLA, Grant Chen. Grant, thanks for coming in and joining us again on Bruin Talk.
You know, it's always great to be back.
You've made quite a career out of this. You were a team manager when you were a student here. You played club tennis at UCLA, right. and now Director of Operations. So tell us, what does a Director of Operations do?
You know, it's a little of everything. I sort of have my hand in all facets of the sport and help with logistics, equipment, travel, the team, scheduling, a lot of coordinating. So, you know, never a dull moment, and balancing my time between both the men's team and the women's team is always a lot of fun.
There's so much you've done with tennis in your life. What sparked your interest in tennis in the first place?
I grew up playing the sport, just a sport I really loved. My family played, my parents played. I was a good junior. And thought about playing college tennis, but just had my heart set on UCLA and wanted to come here, and it's been the greatest fit for me.
We talked about the great start that both programs are off to. Of course, you've been playing tournament play since October. It isn't exactly only a spring sport, but now we get into the key part of the season. Dual match play is almost over, but then you got Pac-10s, Nationals. How is the team looking? Let's first talk about the women, then talk about the men. Tell us who we can look for as the crunch time approaches.
I'm telling you, both teams are looking great. You know, both have a lot of depth. Starting with the women's side, it's been a great start. The women have had a couple matches under their belts, and just this past weekend qualified for the National Indoors, which is held in Virginia in 2 weeks, which features the top 16 teams in the country. So a very nice start. And then the men, on the other hand, have also qualified for the National Indoors, which is hosted by Washington in 2 weeks. And a very young team. The men's are starting 3 freshmen and a sophomore out of their top 6, and recently lost the senior captain to a hip surgery, so he will be out the rest of the season. But the younger guys have really stepped in and filled have some big shoes to fill.
Speaking of the loss with a hip injury, how is he working to be a part of the team now off the bench, and how has that affected the team atmosphere?
Nick is still very, very involved in the team. He's doing rehab daily. He's the heart and soul of the team, and he still is. He might not necessarily be on the court out there battling with the guys, but he's been an incredible mentor to the younger players. He's there at practice, kind of giving his 2 cents, and especially during competition, when he's there and around, and his experience and his years, just being there itself is very helpful and useful.
And we're speaking of Nick Meister, who's the one who's out.
Yep.
UCLA has always recruited very well internationally. You've got a lot of different cultures coming together on the tennis team. That's got to make it really exciting working with people from all different backgrounds.
Absolutely. You know, it's such an international and global sport with players from around the world, and it's a huge part of, you know, Europe and Asia and everything. And we've been very fortunate in the past to be able to get some incredible players from Germany and France and, you know, all over the country, all over the world.
As we look ahead, we know the Bruins have signed some really good players to letters of intent. Tell us about some of the people that are coming in.
Recruiting has been great for UCLA tennis. The women, depending on which polls you look at, have a number 2 or number 3 ranked class, and the men have a number 1 or number 2 ranked class, depending on which polls you look at. But a lot of very, very good local kids are joining the men's squad. We have 2 freshmen, both playing in the top 4, currently on the team, Daniel Kazakowski and Clay Thompson, and 2 incoming freshmen who both signed national letter of intent, Marcus Giron from local Thousand Oaks and Dennis McCurcheon from the Valley. So it's going to be a great, great, really Southern Cal feel to the team in the next couple of years.
Do you get a chance to get out and really hit the ball now, or is most of your duty administrative?
A lot of my duties are administrative, but myself personally, I still get out there quite a bit and break a sweat and, you know, have a little fun out there and still try to hit the ball every now and then.
Recently, an event was canceled due to rain. How does this affect the rhythm of the team, and how did this make your job harder as the director of operations?
Rain is always a tricky part, especially with tennis. You know, it's something you can't plan for or predict sometimes, and sometimes you just have to kind of roll with the punches. For the team aspect, it's sometimes difficult because if a day gets canceled, will they be able to practice that day? If it gets postponed to the next day, you know, then playing a competition after a day of not hitting any tennis balls, you know, so it is a little bit of a time thing and a balance thing, but the way we look at it is both sides, both opponents are on the same, have to deal with the same circumstances, so it's an even playing field.
Grant, you were a team manager and one of the assistant coaches now. Chris Quinta was a member of that team. Of course, you both work with Billy Martin, the head men's tennis coach, and you've worked over the years now with Stella Sampras. It must be comforting to have people you've been associated with for now almost a decade working right alongside with you.
Absolutely. It's been great, and the family, the Bruin tennis family, is such a small-knit group. You know, Coach Billy has been there for 18 years as head coach, 10 years prior to that as assistant coach. Stella's been there 14, 15 years as a head coach, and it's been the same knit core group for so many years. Chris was a great player and helped the team win the national championship in 2005 and has done an incredible job the last 4 years as an assistant coach. And Rance has been an assistant coach for over 10 years now as well. So, you know, it's been nice just to be able to, you know, have the same core group.
Having 2 successful programs, men's side and women's side, has to make your job easier. Tell us how the teams get along.
Well, we all use the Los Angeles Tennis Center. You know, we both call that home, and we have the same courts, the team rooms, locker rooms are very close to each other. So, you know, the teams are very, you know, we see each other a lot every day, and both the men's and women's team are close, and they support each other when the other teams are playing, when they can, when it doesn't affect their preparation schedule. And, you know, it's nice to have that common goal and another team right there supporting you guys.
You mentioned that both teams are going to be facing a lot of other top-ranked teams. What are some of the biggest threats to the rest of the season?
Well, on the women's side, it's the usual powerhouses. Stanford is very, very tough, and Baylor is up there, and Texas, and same thing with the men. SC, Stanford, Virginia, Ohio. Those are just some top teams, and the Bruins are going to be right there in the mix, trying to give everyone a run for their money, and whoever's playing the best in May at NCAA's time will come out on top.
You mentioned the Los Angeles Tennis Center. It's a world-class venue. You've got a pro tournament here every summer. It must be nice when you're recruiting to take prospective recruits around that great facility.
We're very fortunate. It was built in '84 for the Olympics in Los Angeles, and there's a pro tournament ATP event every July, and so it's very nice to have that as a home. We got a nice stadium, we got beautiful facilities, and you know, you can tell when you bring recruits sometimes it's something that they can just try to absorb everything. And it's always for freshmen when they're on the team and suddenly they're playing on court one with, you know, hundreds or, you know, 2,000 people there. You know, it takes a minute for them to take it all in. But after that, it's a home sweet home.
The events don't just happen. Take us through kind of the chronology of what happens on a match day at the LA Tennis Center. When do your responsibilities start on that day?
I start a couple days before. You know, I have to worry about a couple logistics, everything from the PA to the scoreboard to hospitality. When the team comes and our visiting teams come, you know, we let them use locker rooms and all that other facility, all those different things. And you know, everything starts from early in the morning. We have a staff, we meet, we get everything set up, the teams warm up, and then we go battle at usually 1:30 in the day.
As we look forward to tournament time, give us a couple names of players on the women's side, a couple names of players on the men's side who are going to be key for the Bruins' success.
The women's team has a lot of returning players. They have a couple seniors. And one top American freshman in Courtney Dolahide. So all of them will be playing a very key role. I'm excited to see junior transfer McCall Jones lead the team, and Noelle Hickey, who is a senior. I think those two, and another senior, Andrew Raminzi, probably hold up the top 3 spots, and you know, look for their leadership and seniority to really lead the Bruins. On the men's side, it's a completely different story. We have a freshman playing #1. In LA local, Daniel Kazakowski, who has just done an incredible job playing the #1 spot as a freshman, which probably hasn't happened in 12, 15 years. And he's just handled himself. He's very mature and an incredibly hard worker. And I think that's going to be exciting.
Billy Martin always schedules tough competition. How does that pay off as you get down the road and start playing in the tournaments?
I think the team is seeing that early tough competition beginning, and which really helps later down the line because they're familiar with the environment and the level of play, and I think that definitely helps. And when the team is getting ready for NCAAs and during that national championship run, it's just another opponent.
Does the team do anything outside of practicing tennis or tennis in itself to promote team bonding?
They've done several activities. You know, especially on the weekends, sometimes they'll all get together. Maybe they'll go for a run. They'll do the perimeter. They've been doing some other non-tennis specific sports to help kind of do a little cross training, which I think is always a great thing. And then the women's team as well. They always frequently get together. They'll have a dinner at a team member's apartment or something like that, and just really try to spend some time outside of the tennis courts to really kind of get together. And I think those are always some fun times for the teams.
Grant, does being ranked in the top 10 put any extra pressure on the teams?
Not really. I think the players are used to that pressure, that environment. A lot of them have been there before, and I think when said and done, it's really just a number. You know, they still have to perform and do their things, and then maybe down the line it helps a little bit with the seedings and tournament placement and what region they might be in. But you know, they can only do what they can control, and I think most of them do a good job. Just let the polls and the medias worry about the ranking.
The Bruins won a national championship not so long ago. Tell us what your memories are of the national championship season.
Those are just fond memories. Just really, probably one of the most incredible feelings. In 2005, when the guys won it, I was right there, and just incredible dogfight with Baylor, and the team was down. And then when the women won it in 2008, I wasn't working for UCLA at the time, and flew out there red eye, and was able to watch the girls win it as well over Cal, which was just another great time. So just both very, very fond memories, and lucky I was able to be there for both times and share it with them.
Well, exciting times as both teams head into tournament play. We wish you and both the Bruin tennis programs the best of luck.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here again.
Thanks, Grant. And
Thank
you
you
can follow all the Bruin tennis action on UCLABruins.com. A good schedule still upcoming. Come on out to the LA Tennis Center and see these teams perform. We'll come back with more Bruin Talk right after this public service announcement on UCLA Bruin Talk.
A trophy can be made just about anywhere. But there's one place where champions are made. UCLA, champions meet here.
Welcome back to Bruin Talk. Before we meet our next guest, let's take a look at this week's Athlete of the Week. This week, we honor Jasmine Dixon of the women's basketball team as our Student Athlete of the Week. In a recent matchup with Arizona, Jasmine scored a season-best 22 points. Jasmine also contributed a total of 9 rebounds and 2 steals. She has been on the list of high-point scorers for 7 of the Bruins' 20 games so far, and the team high rebounder in 11 games. The team maintains an 18-2 record and looks to more success in conference play over the upcoming weeks. Congratulations, Jasmine, and good luck to the rest of the team. If you would like additional information about UCLA athletics, please visit our website at www.uclabruins.com.
UCLA baseball is a sleeping giant no more. That giant woke up last year with a mighty Bruins roar and roared all the way into the finals of the College World Series. They started off 22-0, and the new season just around the corner, and it's an exciting time. We're pleased to be joined by John Savage, the head baseball coach at UCLA. Very generous with your time, Coach. Always glad to talk to you about Bruin baseball.
Oh, it's great to be here. It's an honor, and I'm excited about this season.
Last year was a dream. You ended up as the College Baseball Insider National Coach of the Year. Is it tough to come back after such a successful year?
Well, no, it really isn't. I think the team is extremely hungry. We had a terrific year last year. We won the most games in the history of the school and got to the national championship game, like you say, but we didn't win it. And we're about winning. But it's a process. We played 68 games last year, and so we know it's a journey. And we don't know if we'll start off 22-0, but we're looking forward to the beginning of the season.
Last season, the team started with one of the most difficult schedules that was known in the history. How is the season going to look?
Well, we're very excited about the schedule. We're very excited about the roster, really. I mean, we have a bunch of guys coming back that have plenty of experience, that are sophomores and juniors that experienced the whole regional at UCLA and the super regional and certainly at Omaha. And then we really think this recruiting class is the number 3rd ranked recruiting class in the country that's going to join us, that very talented group of guys. So we think we have a real nice blend. We only have 2 seniors. It's still a relatively young team, but it's young and good. So we're excited about it.
You got 2 guys taking the hill who are outstanding starters. You've got Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole. They're coming back. Now we look at the 3rd starter, the 4th starter spot. Yeah. How's that shaping up?
Well, it's shaping up really well. I mean, Garrett and Trevor obviously set the tone for the weekend, and they're not guaranteed wins. I mean, they got to go out and pitch, and things do happen. But Garrett will be our Friday guy, and Trevor be our Saturday guy, and then Adam Plutko will be our Sunday starter. And we're still kind of working between a couple guys for Tuesday. It'll either be Scott Griggs or Zach Weiss, and 2 really talented right-handed pitchers. And so we're excited about the newness of our bullpen. We got a bunch of inexperienced guys, but very talented guys that will pitch, I think, from the 7th inning on. We kind of have a good handle on who's going to pitch the 6 or 7 first innings, but it's all about 9 innings, and certainly we have to be as strong at the end of the game we are at the beginning of the game.
Well, Dan Klein was strong last year at the end of games. Who's going to step into the closer role?
Well, it looks like Nick Vandertwig, very, very talented player out of Oakdale High School, drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays, has 3 pitches just like Dan. Reminds me of Dan, really, without the experience, but big, strong guy that has a really good mound presence and demeanor, and I think he's going to be able to pitch out of problems and hold runners, and I think he's complete. He's inexperienced, but we'll give Nick the ball at the end of the game right now.
I was going to say, as a coach, you're handing the ball over to a freshman. What are the concerns there?
People ask that question. This guy is a tough guy, and I think he's going to be able to handle it. I mean, no closer is perfect. I don't think you got 100 for 100 saves, that type of, direction. But this guy is a very talented guy, and I think he wants the ball. He wants to do it. I really think in the future he'll be a weekend, starter. But for this team and this role, he wants it. He's accepting it, and we think we're going to run with it.
Coach, last year the Bruins had a stretch where you won a lot of games 10-8, and then a long stretch where a lot of games were 2-1.
Yeah.
How's it look on the offensive side this year?
We really like our offense. We're a year older. Like I said before, we lost, about 20% of our 20% of our at bats. So we have a really good nucleus of offensive players coming back, and they're stronger and they're obviously older, and we think they're going to be more offensive. So we're hoping to score more runs and give up less. But I think also on the defensive side, they're better, so it's a good combination of position players right now in our program.
With the season just around the corner, what are the last-minute preparations looking like?
Well, just making sure that we know what we're doing. Bunt defense, first and third defense, the short game on offense, the signals, the night signs, the runners at second signs, just knowing what we're doing. Like I tell our team, any good team really has flow to them, and the guys know their roles, and guys know what kind of to expect and when to get called on during the game. And hey, I'm going to pinch run, I'm going to pinch hit, I'm going to come in out of the bullpen in the 7th, 8th inning. So we're really trying to prepare them to know their roles. Any good team, players know their roles, and I really think that right now we're establishing that.
I'm glad you said bunt defense, because the one thing you see in college baseball, that bunt up the third base line, so many pitchers throw that ball into right field.
Yeah.
It's something you got to drill now to get ready for the season.
Absolutely. And the bats have changed. They've made an adjustment on the bats. It's called a BB core, and the bats the exit velocity is down. So the game's going to be calmed down. We led the country in strikeouts last year, and strikeouts per 9 innings, and so the bat wasn't really an issue, but they've made a change. The bat is a lower level bat, and so the bunting game, as you mentioned, is going to be very important in terms of coming off the mound and be able to throw that bunt from the third base line to first base. And we work on that every day. We call it PFP. It's pitchers fielding practice, and it's a big part of our practice.
I've read about the bats, and they say they're pretty close to wood on the way the ball comes off. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's kind of an in between, with that bat that we've had, that composite bat now, compared to wood. It's kind of in between. The ball is flying a lot less in terms of travel. The ball's still kind of getting through the infield. It still has a good rhythm to it, and it could be hit hard, but you're seeing a lot less balls hit in the gaps and over the fence, and we'll see how it plays out. I'll have a better answer, and I think any coach would say the same thing after 15, 20 games.
Well, historically, Coach, you've worked with pitchers. I mean, that's been what you were known for when you were an assistant coach.
Yeah.
It got to be nice knowing that you can jam people now and the ball's not going to fly to the fence.
Yeah. We'll pitch with more our fastball, which we've always pitched with our fastball, but I think we'll even go to another level with that, and we will, get after the glove a little more with the fastball. And so, we're looking for contact, and instead of that ball, barely getting over the second baseman's glove, I think that ball is going to be caught now. And I think the guys that are more efficient on the mound are really going to get paid off, which really should be the case anyway.
Another event that started last year returns this year. It's March 13th, the Dodger Town Classic.
Yeah.
UCLA, USC, and Dodger Stadium. Team's got to be looking forward to that.
Oh, we really are. I mean, we got it going last year, and we're very excited about it. We had a very good Vanderbilt and Oklahoma State team that played, at the 10 o'clock game, and we played the 2 o'clock game, and we weren't sure what to expect in terms of the crowd and excitement, and almost 15,000 people showed up, and it was remarkable. I mean, it was a Dodger Stadium, first time activity for college baseball, and they loved it. It was picked up by TV, and they're expecting, they're hoping 20 to 25,000 this year, and tickets are on sale right now at the Bruin ticket office, and very, very reasonable, free parking. They're really trying to make the fan to come out, and it was all UCLA and USC on both sides, and it was almost a football atmosphere, really, and we're hoping to get that many people again this year. And Georgia will play St. Mary's in the early game, and then we'll play at 2:30 on the 13th, so we hope to see everybody out there.
A lot of people saw Jackie Robinson Stadium for the first time when you were able to host a couple of rounds last year. You got some national TV exposure. Tell us about some of the things that have been done to make it more fan-friendly.
Well, we keep on continuing to make it fan-friendly. I mean, the excitement around Jackie last year, I don't think anybody has seen that in a long, long time. I mean, the regionals, you had an LSU, you had a UC Irvine, you had a Kent State that came in, and the place was packed. And then, you had the Fullerton drama the following weekend with the 3-game series. And, we're hoping to have more seats, more concessions, and more restrooms, and we're continuously working on that. But we want to make it a very friendly place, for our students and certainly for the families that are and alumni and the people that support, Bruin baseball. And I've had a lot of positive feedback in terms of the ballpark, and we hope it'll be a great time for everybody involved.
Looking forward to the 2011 season, what games are you and your team most excited about?
Game 1. We don't really get ahead of ourselves. I mean, it's not about March 13th right now. It's really not about the USC opening series of Pac-10. It's not about going to Stanford or going to Oregon. We have serious challenges ahead of us. So we're a day-to-day operation. We really strive to get better every day in practice, in a drill, in a team defensive drill, whatever we're doing in the weight room. We really focus and try to be present on what we're working on. So to answer your question, it's about today's practice and getting better for tomorrow, because that's the only way you can look at this thing. If you start jumping ahead and saying, hey, we got to try to match a 22-game winning streak, it doesn't work that way in any sport, and really baseball for sure. So we're looking forward just to getting better every day.
You've had 42 players drafted into the major league from UCLA. The team went to the finals of the College World Series last year. You were Coach of the Year. What is your most proud accomplishment?
It's a good question. My proudest accomplishment since I've been at UCLA was just the enjoyment of all the players, all the staff members, our trainers, our managers, our families that enjoyed Omaha. I went to Omaha previously as an assistant, so I've been there, I've done that, and it was the last year of Rosenblatt Stadium. It wasn't about, oh God, I'm finally the head coach at UCLA, and oh my, it really had nothing to do with that. It was more about just being how proud I was of the players and for how hard they've worked, of being rewarded of how hard it is to get to Omaha with the West Coast and how tough it is on the West. So just sitting back and really enjoying, the autograph sessions and the practice sessions and how well we played when we played like we were playing in our backyard when we went back there, and we played the right way. And I was just so proud of all the guys that worked extremely hard over the years. And then the last thing I was so proud about was just for the alumni, for the people that are proud about, people that have played at UCLA baseball, to see themselves, on TV, their program on TV. And it was just kind of a culmination of just that feeling. Felt good.
Well, Coach, I hope you like having a bullseye on you. The season's just getting underway. Everybody's going to give you the best shot, and we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming campaign.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Always great to have John Savage in on UCLA Bruin Talk, and great to have you in with us as well. That's going to do it for this week's show. Naomi and I will be back next time. We'll see you then.